Hi, Jonathan and Michael. I'm Ezelle from the upcoming Lovely to meet you both, and congratulations on the Changeling series. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks, Ezelle.
Yeah, thank you. Talk to you.
So perhaps I can start with you, Michael. Could you tell us a little bit about what the Changeling series is all about? What can viewers kind of expect when they watch this?
Well, it starts out as a love story, a love letter to New York, meeting this couple, and the strength of their love is this beautiful platform that the rest of the season stands on. And then from there, we unpeel the onion skin and use all sorts of elements of magic realism and horror and suspense, and take you on a pretty serious, cerebral, mysterious, magical ride throughout the rest of the season. That will, I hope audiences connect with these incredible performances of these characters, and are entertained on a very unusual piece of TV. It's not a regular show. As directors, we've got to do some really exciting, incredible, unconventional things. So it's a ride. So I hope you all really enjoy it.
Thank you. And Jonathan, obviously, I know it's based on the novel by the same name by the author Victor Lavella, and I believe he narrates all the way through it as well. How is that kind of collaborating with him, and what were some of the challenges of kind of bringing that book to screen?
Collaborating with him was amazing. I mean, Victor was so incredibly generous with what was a really personal piece of work, I think, to him. You know, him and Kelly just worked together just beautifully. You know, Kelly really, really made sure that Victor was around. Victor was on set. And I think, you know, he really allowed Kelly to bring a female perspective, a much needed female perspective to the TV show. As she really opened up the world. You know, Victor, by his own admittance, wrote from his experience as a father. And, you know, Kelly was able to bring in her experience as a mother and really make the piece a sort of dual protagonist piece. So Apollo and Emma's story. And that was, you know, that was absolutely, you know, that was absolutely crucial, I think, to the success of it. And in terms of the challenges, you know, it was Victor had written something that took place in a very realistic world, in a world that seemed familiar, but at the same time was off and different. And, you know, it was, I think that both of us, Michael and I, you know, and Melina, who started the show, I think that was the real challenge, was how do you take New York City that is so cinematically familiar and, you know, slightly twist that, you know, give that fairy tale vibe. And it was a lot of fun. You know, I live in New York, and it was really fun going and finding those places that had that fairy tale twist to them. And also to work out how with the camera and with our palette to also bring that effect while making sure that it was grounded, which our sort of terrific cast and the writing really did.
Yeah, and I think, you know, obviously the series, as you say, is founded in mythology, the idea of fairy tale, the blend kind of between fantasy and reality. I mean, how did you go about kind of creating that on the screen? And what was the kind of the appeal for both of you, actually, with that genre?
Yeah, go for it, Michael.
Well, I mean, creating it on screen is a challenge. It was it's a uniquely complex piece of writing, and as Jonathan mentioned, Kelly did an incredible job at even expanding some of that. So the episode that I got to do looked at the interiority of Lillian's character, which is Apollo's mother. I mean, as a director, I love a challenge. I love reading something that's like, how do we get to pull that off within the space of a TV show? And also, the challenge is also met when you're working with really brave collaborators who yes and your choices. So often I'm resting on the shoulders of what Melina and Jonathan have done throughout the whole season, and I come in later in the season and are able to take some of those rules and can we subvert them? Can we change this? Can we push that? And Kelly, our showrunner, was only someone who kind of pushed me as well to kind of, how can we reimagine that? What else could it be? Keep elevating it. So the show as a whole has got a really premium feel to it that should be a whole new experience for an audience.
And I think obviously the whole sort of story covers themes of postpartum depression. You've got challenges of parenthood, race, you know, all told kind of through this horror lens. And I know, Jonathan, for you, you're no kind of stranger to sort of a mother's breakdown after doing you know, directing Top Boy. And for you, Michael, I know it's really important to kind of explore marginalised topics in your work. Can you talk about kind of some of those themes? And also having Lakeith Stanfield, who plays Apollo, as kind of from his perspective as well, being told through his lens as well as that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like the best. It's what drew me to the book, and it's what drew me to the TV show. Is, you know, like the best genre. It's kind of smuggling in really interesting, pertinent ideas. You know, so that you're brought in and compelled by the horror and by the thrills and by the story, but left kind of thinking and mulling over things and maybe seeing things differently. At the end of it, you know, that are actually applicable to your real life in a way that traditional fairy tales did. You know, the original fairy tales were designed, I think, to help us understand and cope and analyze real world things like postpartum depression, like parenthood. You know, parenthood is its own specific trauma. As a father of 2 young children, I definitely can speak to that. But yeah, I think, and look, having Lakeith there, Lakeith was there from the very beginning. You know, he was there all through pre-production, through the development, and, you know, on set, even through scenes that weren't his scenes, was so committed and so brilliantly collaborative, and brought a lot of himself to it. You know, really brought his own experiences, and if I'm honest, really, you know, was incredible person to build a show around, and allowed all the other actors as well to really blossom in front of him. You know, Clark and Adina and Sam and, you know, everyone. It's very rare to be around a cast where everyone is bringing their A game the whole time, and that was certainly, you know, led by Lakeith.
Yeah, and I think for, you know, like I say, I'm drawn to stories from the Black community. I'll quick fanboy of Jonathan's Top Boy work for a second. But, like, this is it's a show. This is our, you know, our show. The Changeling is like, it's premium Black drama. You know, it's and that's a very particular point of view of New York. And it was done in a way that wasn't kind of overly showy. Like, you know, Melina and Jonathan have done such this incredible work at immersing us in the truth of this community and these people and what their lives and loves are. So, and then that is kind of like accentuated in my episode where I get to, you know, make an hour of TV about an older Black woman, which is such a rare thing in all her complexity and magic and hope and ambition and regret and all the kind of the full humanity of her. And it's a beautiful privilege to get to hold that episode and put it up on screen with all the imagination that I could. So I think, you know, the series as a whole is just, it's a really rare, magical thing, you know, that leapfrogs from Victor's book through Kelly onto the screen.
Oh, well, thank you so much for speaking to me about it. It's wonderful, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure everyone else will when they watch it. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much. Great speaking to you.
Thank you.